Greetings, faculty. We have an opportunity to continue with the plan of differentiated teacher learning to support the important content required by the district, while also creating a time-effective process which you control. Thank you, Ann DeMarco, for adapting the content to focus on information at the high school level by adapting the district-provided content to better align with our high school and Eastview student learning support process. Please review the 10-minute video content. You may stop the video at any time and rewind to re-review a segment again. At the conclusion of the video, please select the informed consent email response that indicates that you have reviewed and understand the content. Please connect with Ann DeMarco if you have any specific questions or see me. Thank you again for supporting and engaging in the differentiated learning opportunity, which I hope continues to honor the very important time in your professional lives. Thank you. I look forward to feedback on this process.
Here are our learning targets. As a result of a review last spring of our special ed programs by MDE, we have been asked to share the following information with both general and special ed teachers. We will be discussing our response when students are struggling, including interventions needed before referral to special ed, the least restrictive environment, and excusing required team members at an IEP meeting. As a district, we have been working to implement a multi-tiered system of support for students who are struggling to make adequate progress in the classrooms. This has included using data to inform our decisions about what we teach in the regular classroom and use of data to identify students who may need interventions in addition to the core curriculum. At the elementary schools, they have Tier 2 interventions such as Leveled Literacy Intervention, LLI, and Reading and Math Recovery. There are also Tier 3 interventionists in our elementary schools to help design further child-specific interventions to target specific areas of need. Here at Eastview, we have the Student Assistance Team and Academic Intervention Team to help teachers plan interventions to help students succeed. Finally, we have special education programs to provide specialized instruction for students with disabilities. The law requires us to have systems in place to identify children with disabilities. At Eastview, you can contact your guidance counselor, administrator, or school psychologist if you have concerns. You can also submit an evention. Our student assistant team meets every Monday during 7th hour. Federal law requires that special education is only for students who have a significant disability and would be unable to make satisfactory educational progress without the services. Minnesota rule requires classroom teachers to conduct 2 interventions tailored to the individual student's needs before a referral for a special ed eval is made. We know that students may struggle for multiple reasons, some of which are listed here. We don't want to misidentify students as disabled just because they share characteristics of students with disabilities, such as needing extra help. Pre-referral interventions are important as a way to rule out non-disability explanations for inadequate educational progress. After completing interventions, we may find that the gap narrowed in general ed. Or, if it took so many interventions occurring with high fidelity for so many months, with the student growing very little, then this might be a student with a disability. Pre-referral interventions need to be based on student need area and individualized. They should be observable and measurable, implemented with fidelity, and designed with enough power to accelerate growth. The classroom interventions you do for students are numerous. We also have many interventions like the ones listed here to help all students we see struggling. The only way to determine if an intervention worked is to look at data. Baseline data is collected prior to the intervention, as well as throughout the intervention. We need multiple data points to increase data validity and to calculate the rate of change. An intervention may be successful if the student shows progress and/or improvement. If growth rate and performance level are low, revise the intervention or try another one until 2 different interventions have been implemented for at least 6 weeks. They should be back to back. Note that one intervention phase may involve a number of strategies. Do what you think it'll take to increase the rate of growth. Here's the process we have at Eastview. After interventions are complete, if a student does not make sufficient progress and continues to show needs, then you should bring the data, work samples, and completed intervention forms to me and DeMarco. I will then bring the referral to our child study team to discuss if an evaluation is appropriate. Here's the timeline determined by law for a special education evaluation. We know it is not quick. It cannot begin until the parent signs permission. The evaluation team has 30 school days to complete it, and once it is complete, a meeting will be scheduled to discuss the results. If the student is found to be eligible, an IEP will be written within 10 school days. The services actually begin when the parents sign the IEP. Next, we want to share a little of the process we follow to determine where a student with a disability will be educated. Here is the federal law. Each district must ensure that to the maximum extent possible, children with disabilities are educated with children who are non-disabled, and that special classes, separate schooling, or other removal of children with disabilities from the regular ed environment occur only if the nature or severity of the disability is such that education in regular classes with the use of supplementary aids and services cannot be achieved satisfactorily. When considering placements and courses for special ed students, we always consider general ed first. The team should be asking how we can support the student to be successful in general ed rather than where else he or she can go. We can adapt and modify general ed requirements as well as provide direct specialized instruction through co-teaching and push-in services in the regular classroom. Only if students need additional support do we consider pull-out services. If a student is not being successful with the continuum of services, please let someone know. Again, we try to find solutions within the student's current school placement first. If that is not successful, we have center-based classrooms for students with significant needs. Our secondary special ed coordinators will be meeting with their building teams to discuss supports available for students with challenging behaviors to see what buildings need. There will be more training provided to the school psychologists and special ed teachers who work with children with challenging behaviors to help us design school-based interventions to address severe social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Finally, please be aware of additional mental health services that we now have. This is noting who can be the required general ed teacher. They must be a teacher of the student and know the student and be able to provide relevant information about how their disability is affecting them in the class. The teacher also needs to be aware of grade level curriculum and expectations so as to help the team determine how to bridge the gap between the student's present skill level and the classroom expectations. Parents can request teachers they would like to be present, and we will attempt to honor those requests. Finally, we want to review the requirements for IEP meeting team membership. One teacher of the child is designated as the required general ed teacher, and that teacher is legally required to be at the IEP meeting. It is expected that the teacher stay for the entire meeting. This teacher should be part of discussions of all parts of the IEP, particularly needed adaptations. Their role is deeper than just giving an update to parents on the student's current grade and class. General ed teachers should be giving input about how the disability is impacting the student in the classroom and what skills the student needs to learn to be successful in the general ed curriculum, as well as what adaptations are required currently. It should not be standard practice that all teachers leave before the meeting ends. If a required teacher cannot be at an IEP meeting or needs to leave early, they must be excused by the parent, and the special ed teacher has to fill out paperwork in regards to that. The parent has the right to request that the meeting be rescheduled with that teacher present. If a teacher is excused by the parent, they must provide the case manager with written input prior to the meeting so it can be shared at the meeting. MDE also requires that teachers provide written input if they will be leaving early, presumably to cover topics that might be discussed after they leave. It is okay to email this input to the case manager, but the email needs to be dated prior to the meeting.